So today is the day that we're going to try and get the engine and gearbox, along with the transfer box, in the rolling chassis. It's cold, it's February, what can possibly go wrong? But fortunately, I've got my best mate here, Pete, mechanic of 25 years. All I'm useful for is making the tea. So anyone that's seen this engine before in our previous video, you'll notice that it looks a little bit cleaner. So I've thoroughly degreased it. And but before this engine goes in, we're going to take the clutch off and make sure, as it's set outside, that it hasn't bonded itself to the flywheel. So we're going to give that a clean up, realign it and reassemble. The clutch has only done about 2,000 miles, so no need to replace it at this stage. So yeah, on we go. So it looks like 4 years ago I was fairly organised, because I've put most of the things in bags and boxes that Pete's now discovering. So we've got the clutch fork, the release bearing and all the bolts that hold the bell housing on. So you may be wondering why I'm using a 1/4" ratchet, because basically this is the thinnest wall socket we could find, because there's not a lot of clearance in there for any socket, so a normal socket just won't fit over there. Okay, the moment of truth. We're going to have a look and see what this flywheel looks like. It should come off fairly easily. If you probably noticed, we're on a gravel driveway again, and if it's good enough for Martin to rebuild his Land Rover, I'm sure he can rebuild mine. So we're just going to give this a bit of a clean up now, and all should be well. Having given it a bit of a wipe down with some wet and dry and some brake cleaner, we can see that the mating surface is actually really, really clean now. All I need to do now is give the actual clutch a bit of a clean, and it can go back on. I've given it a good clean, but you can still see a little bit of rust, but it's very, very clean and smooth to the touch. And once the clutch gets used, which hopefully won't be that long, we'll be ready to go.
Hey Steve, is that a clutch alignment tool in your pocket, or are you just pleased to see me?
I think you'll find, not only pleased to see you, but yes it is. So this is a handy little bit of kit. Came from Ashcroft actually, so all that needs to do is go in there like so. So when we fit in the clutch, which we shall do now, it makes sure that is lined up to that. Right, clutch is back on. Basically headed round these evenly. So did that one, similar to wheel nuts. So it has to not to put too much pressure. These have now been torqued up to 34 Newton meters of torque, and we can now remove the clutch alignment tool. Job done. Right, so I've just come in from having done the clutch out there, and Pete's been busy in here. And here we've got an LT230 transfer box, which is from a Discovery, mated to what was the original gearbox, which is LT77. That's been rebuilt by Ashcroft's. Pete's rebuilt that for me, and he's been beaving away in here. So one of the modifications Pete's going to explain is you've got the Land Rover,
the Defender handbrake linkage.
Defender handbrake linkage there in your hand. What's going on here?
Right, so when you fit the 1.2 ratio LT230s from either a 200 or 300 TDI, the slight little modification you have to do is to put two M8 holes and these bosses here to hold the original handbrake linkage.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
So, quick update. Pete set me up with some more bits to fit. The bell housing has now been fitted to the LT77. Unfortunately, all the nuts and bolts were just in that bag over there. So, yeah, we're cooking on gas at the minute. Right, so all I've got to do now is fit the clutch fork pivot. And that goes just there.
So, a common point of failure before it was modified by parts suppliers was the clutch forks used to pop with the pivot and break through the dimple on the back, leaving you with no clutch.
Nothing dodgy to see here, apart from the fact that I've missed most of the degreasing. Martin and Pete are on the crane. We've got this lined up. What's the worst can happen? Let's have a go.
Ready? Very steady.
So it's going to be this bit that comes in first because it's dipped on the... Okay. Okay. Yep, steady as she goes. Ooh. Keep coming. That's all right. No, keep,
Yeah,
keep
the
going.
Land
Keep
Rover's
going.
going to have to
Keep
go
going.
that
Wait.
way, I'm going to say. It's going to have to go backwards.
Down a little bit. Keep coming. Right, you're in the hole this bit.
Right.
And then...
Oh. Tilted. Ready?
Yeah.
Those.
You want that basically in there. I'm just steadying it.
That'll start coming towards you a lot more. Okay, hold on a sec.
It's all right. I've got it. Yeah. That's all. Steady on. Oh, go on.
Don't forget you've got your mic on.
Yeah, I know. You have to mic that out.
Boys, this has gone better than I ever anticipated.
You in there?
Yes, it's gone in the hole.
Yeah?
Yeah, she's on.
Looks like it'll just rest. It'll rest on the side of the alternator.
Let's get the pressure off it. Oh, look, that's hard.
Well, that looked easy, didn't it? It's gone straight on. Engine's obviously sitting forward because there's nothing to hold it in, and that's down to the gearbox and transfer box, which we shall do after lunch.
5 minutes later.
Right, so the engine's now sitting on the mounts. Found the bolts, that's on. Pete's going to stick the gearbox on the back of the engine, but we're going to wheel this back in because we're in the British countryside and it's going to rain. Right, it's post-lunch. We're full of sandwiches and cups of tea. Engine sits in the chassis. Pete's where the gearbox should go. And Pete is going to attempt to lift the gearbox in and put it onto the studs. Let's give it a whirl. Fits like a glove. As you can see, The gearbox is now mated to the back of the 300 TDI. Next up, LT230 transfer box. Continue backwards.
Do you want screwdrivers, mate? Yeah. Oh, is it just that pin? Hang on, mate. Let me get it. I blame Steve. That'll go past me.
So
There we go.
I just
She's on the dowels.
good. I just need to make those smaller ones to go in here.
Yeah. Just get the. There we go. Wonderful.
So now the transfer box is in, that bracket we spoke about earlier is for the handbrake mechanism. So Pete is now, fortunately, found the spacers that go along here, and he's going to mark this up and drill the 2 holes into the casing, which is a modification. These. It's towards the end of the day, and as you can see, the engine, the gearbox and transfer box is now in, thanks to Pete. The last modification was made where we've drilled the holes here to hold the handbrake mechanism on, as this is a modification because it's a Discovery LT230 high ratio transfer box. Luckily, we found most of the things we're looking for. We're missing the mount here, can't find it, but that was the only thing we didn't find. It wasn't a bad day, was it, Pete?
Could have gone a lot worse.
Yeah, well, celebrate with a cup of tea.
Cheers.
So what's good about what's happened today is this is the first thing that's been done in about 4 years. So the project is underway for 2025. For future videos from myself and Martin and the rest of the team, don't forget to like and subscribe and do the usual things. Press that bell and all that good stuff. We'll see you soon.